Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by Center IQ. If you've ever added a child to a classroom, adjusted staffing, or made a quick schedule change, and then spent the next 2 weeks fixing the ripple effects, you're not alone. Most leaders make decisions and then see what happens. Center IQ's decision intelligence lets you see what happens before you decide. Start your free trial today at centeriq.io. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
So have you ever wished your life was a little bit more like a musical, with people randomly breaking into song? Well, we've got a guest today who can help with that. So Debbie Clement, we met her in Florida at FLACY, Florida AEYC, for those not in the know. And she is just a gem of a musicologist, somebody who brings music into your life. And she's written a few books, and we think she's got some stuff to share with you guys about how to bring more joy into your program with music and books. So welcome, Debbie.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. Somebody on Facebook just said to me, I think you have the joy gene. And I mean, and then you said that. This was not scripted, people. And I think I do. I grew up singing joy, 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 joy down in your heart. Let me just give you a zippity-doo-dah into who I am. This is, I was thinking about this morning. I'm 6 weeks short of having been Debbie Clement on the road for 30 years in early childhood.
Wow.
I know, 30 years. This means I'm old. Because
So are we. So are
Yeah,
we. We are
I
not
know.
spring chickens over
And
here.
maturity is a good thing, right? I mean,
Yep.
I have literally been able to travel from coast to coast and back and forth and up and down. And yet, probably 80% of your audience has never even heard of me. I think, I'm that poster for the best kept secret kind of person. People who
Yep.
know me, love me, and invite me back. And then there's lots of people that have never heard of me. But I have written and recorded over 100 original songs for young children. And then my art degree. So this is how I'm different than some of the other wonderful music people in early childhood. I have a degree in art. And one of my songs that was first released on a cassette tape, okay, again,
Ooh.
how old is this woman? Okay, it was a cassette tape first. And then I just kept getting the most amazing feedback. Oh, Debbie, I wish I had I wish you're teaching it in sign language and I'm never going to remember. I wish I had the music notes. We're going to perform this at our end of the year event. Where's the music? And on and on and on. And I said, oh, this is starting to sound like a book. I have an art degree. How could I turn this into a book? And so you're wonderful. Here, I'll back up. You're wonderful. I know not everybody's watching. I'm a colorful sort of person, so it might be worth your while to go find us on YouTube and see this whole happiness.
I love that plug. Thank you, Debbie. We didn't even ask her to do that, but
I know. But they did tell me that only about the majority are listening and not watching. And I'm one of the ones maybe you want to watch. But so anyhow, it's a whole lot of music, a whole lot of years, a whole lot of getting back and forth. I have, for the visual learners in our audience, I keep all my books. I am the author illustrator for 4 picture books that are the lyrics of the song become the text of the book. I have to stop and think, make sure I get it the right way. So here's your wonderful that was on that first ever cassette tape. And I made the illustrations from fabric as small quilts. So when I get invited out as the author, there are often quilts of all sorts of affirmation. I think you're wonderful. I think you're marvelous. It only has really 6 words. So again, I know, wonderful, marvelous, beautiful, magical, Oh, and then you have to say filled with, but filled with curiosity and dreams. And so the sign language chart is here in the back, and the music notes, all those things people ask for. And then once I figured out how to do books, I had a song I had already written called Tall Giraffe. And my niece went to Africa and she took pictures of giraffes for me. And so this one is actual African giraffes, but they're pictured in batiks from Africa. So again, it's very, very genuine giraffes, and then the African art behind the photographs. Then very
Okay, wait,
soon.
hold on. Hold
Okay,
on.
okay.
I told you, you keep doing this, I'm going to interrupt you. All right,
Okay.
so Debbie, a director listening, and this all sounds wonderful and love that you're colorful. I've zipped over to YouTube to watch you. I'm going to just be blunt. Why do I care?
Why do we care? Well, Howard Gardner would be the one to tell us that music for some children is their intelligence. I think we all know if we've worked with children for more than half an hour, some children, come into the program and they're bouncing across the parking lot with the beat. What we know from brain research is children who have the beat are our first and easiest avenue into literacy and then also into math. The same areas of the brain that coordinate for music coordinate for math and literacy. So that would be one easy answer. Why do we care? Because the children care, right? They
Yes.
they came into this world hearing their mother's heartbeat. And that beat, we can use that to our advantage in all sorts of ways to direct behavior, for one. And that might be something of interest to a program director.
No, you mean about behavior issues. I mean, there's
Nobody has
nobody
those.
listening that's got any of that going on.
And
I mean,
certainly
come on,
nothing for
Carrie, you
children.
know that.
I mean, I am not somebody who has a very good singing voice, but I sang all through my classroom career. I sang the cleanup song. I sang made up songs about, we've got to get to the playground,
Playground, the playground. And you know what? Oh, Carrie, this is just so organically awesome. So, these almost 30 years, let's just say I make it to June 1st, okay? These 30 years of being the music person around the country. But before that, I was in a private preschool for young children with special needs. And so if you think of 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds with autism and behavior issues, genuinely, when you have a 4-year-old that's labeled with behavior issues, it's for real. Okay. And so
Well,
I got
especially 30 years ago, because again,
thank you.
we're really quick to put those labels on. Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to get off the soapbox before I even get on. I'm just going
Okay.
to let you keep going. Sorry.
Okay. So I got to see the power of music for nonverbal children. I got to see the power of music in a classroom setting. So let's see, we have 2 kids with behavior labels already.
So this
And-
isn't just theory. You've actually done this?
Oh yeah, for 10 years. And then these happy 30 years, right? But so for 10 years, I got to work with speech therapists, occupational therapists. My job was resource teacher. So I got to do everything else, art and music and horseback riding and swimming and court. And I just saw, no kidding, like a day ago, I haven't even put it up on LinkedIn. Oh, by the way, that's where I really try to contribute is on LinkedIn. So follow me over there. But I haven't put it up yet. But it said that one of the number one predictors of school success is swimming. Yeah, is swimming.
Yeah. So as somebody who swam at 6 months old, and then I was taught again at 18 months, but I was never had to be taught again. I think that is absolutely relevant. And I think that
How
all
am
of
I
the
just
smartest
hearing
people are
this
swimmers.
now, though?
Well, it's because of the bilateral connection. You're
Yes,
going
yes.
across the corpus callosum
Right.
all the time.
And strengthening all those brain
And some of
cells,
us
like-
just go like this all the time anyway. It's the rationalization. I'm like going, well, of course I bounced back and forth, right? So I'd been doing that for a few decades.
And I remember hearing someone say that that sign language is the only language that uses both hemispheres of the brain because
Mhm.
you're using large muscle, small muscle. It's coordinated. It's like bing, 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 bing. So again, when I speak to teachers and classroom frontline folks, I'm encouraging them to laugh because that gets oxygen into the brain. I'm encouraging them to cross the midline. I'm encouraging them to stand on one foot. But Carrie, something that you said earlier, I know about not being maybe the most musically inclined person and yet singing through the whole day and making things up. That is my very favorite feedback from people. At a conference, they'll come up and they almost whisper. They kind of lean in and they say, "Oh, Debbie, I'm not a musical person, but your stuff is so easy. I think I could even do it." My very, very, very first song ever. Okay, so I was at that school, Childhood League Center in Columbus, Ohio, and it's still there after umpteen years. I wonder how many. Anyhow, a lot of years.
Okay, hold on, Debbie. Are you from Columbus?
Yeah.
She's from
I
Groveport.
where are you from?
Groveport.
Oh, my daughter and my grandkids are in Pataskala. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So
We lived in.
I'm like
in
going,
London.
how did it before? Sorry. So
Okay,
anybody
okay.
listening, if
Yeah.
you didn't already know, apparently
Go
Debbie and I
Buckeyes.
are long lost sisters and we just didn't know it.
I know. This is why you have to come on a podcast. But I was
Absolutely.
actually born in Indiana. So I have
Okay.
to claim Hoosiers. And we have our summer place in Wisconsin. So I'm a whole Midwestern.
So where in
kid.
Wisconsin?
Door County.
Okay, so we have a family. So Carrie and I are cousins. We have a family farm right on the Minnesota-Wisconsin border.
In
And our
Buffalo
family
County.
grew up in Madison. So
And have you been to Door County with the goats on the roof?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Well, next time you're just 3.5 miles from my house.
Carrie will be in Wisconsin for half of June and first week of July, doing the annual family reunion. So if you need to go to the Mississippi, just
Okay.
give her a call and she'll find you
Okay.
somewhere along the Mississippi border.
And
I
then we'll
love it.
get you
And
into some good ice cream.
and
Nelson, just come
Cheese-
over to Nelson. I might even fly in for a trip to Nelson.
cheese curds, right?
I'm not making that drive. That's a 24-hour drive up
I was gonna say
I-35,
it's
but I
probably
will be happy
maybe 4 or
to
5 hours across the state, something like that.
ice cream. Why would you not travel 4 hours for ice cream? And you know what? That is what our podcast producer is probably going to call this episode, 4 hours for ice cream, because
Okay.
and it'll just confuse everybody
Yeah.
who starts listening. Okay, go ahead, Debbie. I'm
Well,
so
I just
sorry.
learned your cousin, so we're learning all the things. So when Carrie said, music is not her first language, right? And yet we know it's just so foundationally important. And what I was, oh golly, just stick with one thought at a time. Okay, so my first song was Goldie Goldfish. I heard a professor of music say, na 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 na. And she called it the childhood chant, which I had never heard a name for. Childhood chant, she said, is the one first melody that we have as people on planet Earth. Okay. And then I've quit my day job, right? Where I have health insurance and snow days and stuff like that. And I go out on the road with my guitar and my 6 chords that I can play, but that impresses 4-year-olds, right? And I see this great goldfish puppet. This is a folk Manus puppet. It's probably still available. This is from 30 years ago. And look, it has moving parts and it shines and it has a mouth that opens. Okay. And I'm thinking, na, 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 na. And people are saying to me, because I did that all the time. Wash your hands now, wash your hands now. Here we go, splashing. Just all day long. And I would do that in staff development. And people would say, I would like to buy your songs. And I'm like, what songs do you want to buy? And then they're like, all that stuff you just sang to us. I'm like, that's just in the moment. You have my permission to make up songs all day long. Pick up the crayons. Here we go. Okay. So I'm thinking, na, 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 na is the first ever melody that we have. I see a goldfish. And so I say, people want me to write songs. Okay. Goldie, Goldie, goldfish. Has to rhyme with it. Swims all day around her dish. Goldie, Goldie, goldfish. Follow me and make a wish. Ah-da-da! And then, no kidding, because I'm ancient, I got in the yellow pages and I looked for recording studios And the first one back in 30 years ago, you do the math, okay, was a Sound. It started with an A. And I called up and I said, I have a song and I want to record it. And this brilliant man answered the phone, and he didn't even work there. He just answered the phone. And he ended up producing my first 4 albums of songs, Polly's first 80 songs. And what my music, it's fully instrumental, happy adult. I mean, I think there's some things intended for kids that as an adult you can listen to it once, but then your fingernails are really scratching, yeah. And so I have real professors from Ohio State. The trombone professor plays on my albums, and a professor from Delaware plays saxophone. And I mean, really talented people would come in and they'd say, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, do your trombone thing. I don't know.
I love this. So musical improv.
Yes.
Yes. And so Carrie's husband actually does grown-up musical improv, but probably definitely not child braided. And
I mean, it depends on the show, but yes. Yeah. My husband took improv classes to do improv comedy. And then somebody said, have you ever heard of musical improv? And my husband fell head over heels in love with the concept of randomly singing with a theater teacher. And the two of them travel around the country a couple or 3 times a year doing musical improv at comedy festivals. It is the
usually
weirdest
we find out that he's going
project.
to after he's already there, because it's usually when we're also gone. And sometimes it's the same state, but like within Carrie we will leave Orlando and he will arrive in Tampa the same day. And I'm like, we could have stayed one more day. Like, I think he does that on purpose. I don't think he wants us to know. Like, even when he's in Dallas, he'll say, oh, well, I'm going to Dallas tonight. We won't know for 2 days later because his buddy will post a picture and tag him. And we're like,
that's what you were doing in Dallas?
Anyway, so we totally squirreled. This is, if anything, this is one of the most squirrely episodes we've had. But I love it. I love it. This is how you know we are not scripted and that there is no interview question.
There were no interview questions.
We couldn't have written this.
And truly, the genuine laughter, I hope people even just listening in that can't see the smiles and the encouragements that's bouncing back and forth. We know that laughter changes all. I call them endorphins because now I'm in Florida right this minute while I'm talking to you. And the endorphins, swim when we laugh. Oh, boys and girls, there's some endorphins are swimming past because that was so funny. And I tell my teachers in the audience, when you do something and the kids laugh, to just stop and go, oh, that was funny when you're 4 years old. One time, I ran in and I'm like trying to plug stuff in and unhook my guitar out of the guitar case and I'm patting my head. I'm like, okay, boys and girls, everybody pat your knees. And I just got it scrambled up. It was not intentional that I was patting the wrong part of my body, saying a different body part. And they just cracked up. And I'm like, oh, this is funny if you know your body parts, and the tall person in the room has got this swirled up. Okay, so that's something, again, you can do that. You can manufacture that type of laughter. Just stop and say, oh, that's funny when I insert this word incorrectly, or, solve that away. And then, when you pull out the new surprise and everybody giggles and laughs and you pat yourself on the back and you say, okay, look at all those endorphins. And we know then that event, that story, that rhyming piece is going to stay more solidly up there in their happy little brains. So the more we can get them having fun and laughing, the better off, the easier it is.
Maybe that's why Carrie remembers so many things, because Carrie laughs a lot, and she laughed a lot as a kid. And I often try to figure out why Carrie remembers things from second grade, because let me just tell you, that is more than 3 decades ago. And
what? No, it's not.
Well, I didn't tell them exactly how many decades. I said it was more than 3. But I always remember Carrie laughing and having that smile as a child, and as somebody who also cannot carry a tune. And I have figured out how to make my children cry on command, and that is called sing to them. And so, but the
It's
two who did it the
really,
most actually could sing. So it
yeah.
doesn't surprise me any that the kids who didn't like my singing actually can carry a tune.
Well, what I think is not fair is that my dad has perfect pitch and I have relative pitch. And that is really unfair as somebody who is not good singing because, like, I can hear when anybody goes off.
Right.
And if that person is me, that's not fair. But I think the other thing, since we're, primarily talking to administrators, is you can sing silly songs to the adults too
Oh,
and
absolutely.
be like, clock in, don't
Okay,
forget
Debbie,
to
this is your new
clock
album
in.
challenge. Your new album challenge is the songs that the administrators would like to sing to their staff, and they can just play it. And it's things like that you need to clock in, that we don't need to see your body parts. I could come up with all kinds of interesting, like, put
Underwear
that phone
goes
away.
under clothes. Underwear goes under clothes.
I think you already have a product here that would totally be complemented by child care conversations. And here, you may not know this, but with today's technology, there's tuning. So, I mean, you can sing underwear goes under there, and it can be a little pitchy, as Simon Cowell would say. Okay, that's a little pitchy, and there are little buttons at the recording studio. Whoop! They bring that note up and that one down. Now you can't be completely lost in outer space.
I can't be completely sharp, is what you're saying. Okay,
Well,
I got it.
well, yeah, but no kidding. Talk about brilliant. And that was my whole business plan: find a need and fill it. So for 10 years, I had been this administrative. No, I started out as a resource teacher, like straight hands on with the kids. Then I got promoted to being administrator, and I got assigned things like transportation and building and grounds and maintenance. And one day, no kidding, somebody called me up and said, I'd like to have you get together a committee about the quality of your hand soap in your hand soap dispensers. And I literally looked at the phone and
I
said,
don't think that should be a committee.
I don't even know if that's open for discussion. Like, just buy it. Like, if you need me to change to a different smell or I need to reduce my cost, fine. But
no, they wanted me to have a committee meeting about this. And I literally looked at the phone and I said, would you repeat that? And he said, I want you to have a committee about the quality of your hand soap. And
okay, that's a song too. I know there's a song in there because that would have us all giggling. That should have been an email now, right? Like,
okay.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, thank you. This is the exact moment where I'm going to turn in my letter of resignation. And I really did. I mean, I really turned in my letter of resignation because he asked me to think about that and spend time on it. And and the reason I resigned was because I was no longer doing the hands-on. I was having to hire people. And in Ohio State's there, Capital University's there. I mean, all these universities in Central Ohio. And I would get these great, wonderful musical people, and they had no idea about kids, and they sure had no idea about kids with special needs. And so they'd be singing something, all over the map, and I'd be like, you got anything with a rousing chorus? Do you have anything that's more like 5 words and a puppet? And they'd look at me, and so I went home day after day and said, I'm paying these people money and spend the whole time telling them how and what to do with our kind of kids. And my husband said, well, quit your job and go on the road and just do what you had once done and loved. And so
I words in a puppet. That's my new.
that's the first time I ever said that.
My new something. It's at least a T-shirt, right? 5 words in a puppet is at least absolutely a T-shirt. So, all right. So Debbie, I mean, we could sit here and have another 30-minute conversation with you,
Really
I'm sure,
could.
and there would be a lot more laughs, and we'd give you 3 more product lines because that's about how Carrie and I work. Because we don't want it. We're just going to give you the idea, and you can take it, or somebody else can reach out to you and send them, because if they don't identify as somebody who can carry a tune, they'll be like, Here, I wrote you 7 songs to sing about what you need to be singing to your staff. But we have so enjoyed having you on, and we know that people can find you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And in our show notes, we're going to have information about how to connect with you for professional development, if somebody's on a conference committee. And you know what? If you're on a conference committee, you could even find 3 keynote speakers.
What?
There's a secret. Like Carrie and I do that too. And what's even better, and I'm going to promise not to get on this soapbox, but you could have 3 female keynote speakers because, you know, that's kind of a novel concept. Okay. On that note, Carrie, what should people do other than quickly get me off that soapbox?
You should share this show with somebody else who needs to know what we had to say today. And you should go get some of Debbie's books and make sure that you tune in through your podcast player of choice or YouTube.
Or your YouTube channel.
Yep. Sometime in the next couple of days, because we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, whether you want us to be or not. And we'd love to visit with you. Send us a text. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And Kate pushes the button.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.